Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Geographically. This is cool. So I would say make sure that pretty face is showing.
Yes, true.
They're going to want to see that thing. They're going to want to see that thing, Alan. That face. You good? Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. You will only be hearing us today because we're not going to be video recording this because we are actually sitting in our respective beds in the hotel. We got into the hotel at midnight. It's 8 o'clock now, and now we have to fly to Boston and then to Phoenix.
Those are all facts.
How are you living over there?
I just woke up literally 15 to 20 minutes ago. I am very tired, but I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, yeah, I feel the same. So we're going to do another short 20-minute Scratching the Surface episode on gratitude and perspective. So right now we are in Florida. This trip started on Sunday.
Yep.
So we've been running around like maniacs, but I know that both of us have really felt different layers of gratitude, and it's given us a lot of perspective.
Yeah, I think they're super connected, for sure. Do you want to start with what kind of happened to you?
Yeah, I'll start with that, and then we can jump into our experiences and whatnot.
Yeah, because I think the power of gratitude is something that I leverage every single day, and I think it's super important, especially when times get tough.
Yes, so I guess my experience has brought both gratitude and perspective for me. About a week before we were supposed to fly out, I started getting, I don't know if it was allergies or what, but I had a couple instances. I was mowing the lawn and I had like a panic attack and I felt like I couldn't breathe. So I don't know if it was because I was outside mowing the lawn and I have allergies to pollen or whatever the hell's going on out in nature right now. But from that moment on, I haven't felt good. I haven't felt good in like a week. I've been super congested. My chest has just been constricted, and even before all this happened, I was nervous to fly. So pair that with the fact that I didn't know if I was going to be able to breathe on the plane, or I didn't know if I was going to be able to have an anxiety attack, or I didn't know if I was going to have an anxiety attack. And it really gave me perspective of like, if you can do this when you feel like this, if you can do this whole trip while you're quote unquote sick, while you're definitely not at 100%, you can really imagine what your mind can do when you're at 100%.
Yeah.
And that's, the perspective is like, I've survived the trip so far and thrived for the most part. Like we had a really good podcast with Eddie yesterday.
Yes, we did.
And that'll be dropping in a few weeks. But it really made me realize, like, number one, it's super hard not to take things for granted because the law of familiarity. We feel good. We wake up and we expect to feel good. We wake up and we expect to be able to go to the gym. We expect to be able to podcast. We expect all these things. And I don't know when I'm going to be able to go to the gym. I'm taking the rest of time off until I feel better. Until I feel better, I'm not going to the gym. So right now, I'm super grateful for my health because I know I'm run down. The next couple days are going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful for you. Alan drove 8 out of the 10 hours yesterday because he knew I needed rest. I slept most of the ride there, most of the ride back, and without him, I don't know where I'd be. So I appreciate the hell out of you, brother. I'm very grateful for you.
Amen. 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 Again, just woke up. Sorry, everyone. Super grateful for sleep. And in my defense, I drove all the things
All the
yesterday across the state of Florida, which was beautiful. I think travel gives perspective too, but I want to touch on the gratitude piece because what Kevin said about assuming you're going to wake up feeling well, assuming you're going to be able to go to the gym. You know, I always say this to everybody, and I think this resonates really strongly with people because it's something that I confront very, very frequently. Whenever I'm in the gym and I hit that wall of like, I don't want to fucking be here anymore, like this sucks. Whenever it starts to feel mundane, boring, like a job, I always tell myself like, no, Alan, absolutely not. You get to be here. There are so many people out there right now that want to be in the gym that don't have their health, that can't be. You're an example of that right now. You want to be in the gym. Also, Eddie, and he was okay with us talking about this, he's also dealing with an injury right now where he can't run. And
Yeah.
he's an ultra marathon runner, so that's his thing. Like
Yeah.
that's if you listen to Your World Within, and I hope you do, because he's just an incredible person, and his mindset videos are next level. They'll program your subconscious mind right into success. That I use them literally every day. And so he lost his anchor, you know, because right now he's unable to run. And he admitted, like, you know, when you do something for 12 miles, when you run for 12 miles a day and you don't have proper form, and then you kind of fight through that, you know, that was kind of the reason why he was injured. And hindsight's 20/20. So again, perspective, like read the obvious signs of your body. Like for you, for example, like after the gym, we crushed a workout on Monday,
Sunday
night.
Sunday night.
Because we flew here Sunday, so I think it was Monday night.
No, we flew here Sunday. Then we went to Terrence's. We went swimming.
Oh,
We
yeah.
hammered pizza. Then we went to the gym.
You're
That was
right.
a super long day.
Okay, yeah, that was the longest day ever. So to give perspective here, so Kevin, we woke up at my mom and I came and picked you up. My mom drove us to the airport. Thank you again, grateful
Yes.
mother.
Thank you, Mama.
Love you. You're the best. We picked you up at 5:30, and then we went to the airport, and then we went from the airport onto the plane, from the plane to another airport, and then straight to the hotel to check in. Then we went to Terrence's. So it's so much new. And then we swam. We went to the gym. It's just a long day.
It was a super long day.
Super long day. And so when we got back to the hotel after working out, we crushed a workout. That was a next level workout. And you were hitting the mannequin / bag there, doing your fighting stuff, and you were killing it. But when you got back here, I could tell right when Kevin left the gym, we went to Wawa to get some subs to eat some food, and I could tell you were a little off. And that's just a really long day. So what I want to give to the listeners on this episode is some perspective when it comes to knowing when to read the obvious signs of your body, because I always use that analogy of the rubber band. You want to stretch the rubber band of your consciousness. You want to stretch the rubber band of your body because that's how it grows. That's how you grow, and you have to challenge yourself to grow. But at what point do you make sure that rubber band does not snap?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. We always talk about discipline and getting after it and making sure you're doing everything you can, but there is a fine line between doing everything you can and doing more than you can. There definitely is a fine line.
The analogy that might help people too, there's definitely a fine line, like Kevin just said. Picture, we did an episode on micro failures for macro success. So basically every day you should be challenging yourself so that in the long run, you're going to be more. You're going to be able to give more, have more, become more. In the gym, picture a micro failure as taking a set past what you're currently capable of and then like having a spotter there like Kevin to get me that last couple reps. That's a micro failure. I'm going to wake up the next day stronger. A macro failure is if I blow out my shoulder by trying to bench press 250 pounds in one instant. In a weird way, that's kind of what you tried to do with this trip because it's so much overwhelm, so much stimulus, so much new. As a matter of fact, to bring it real to the listeners, like we're in the same hotel that we didn't even plan on coming back to because we needed some familiar, you know?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that perspective?
Yeah, it's I guess it's a lot for me as well because I'm used to staying in hotels, so it kind of brings back the feels of work. It kind of brings back the feels of like being homesick, kind of, because I was homesick for 4 years straight. Basically, every time I was on the road, I was homesick.
To be honest, I don't think that helped you either.
Well, it probably didn't.
know?
It does now though, because now it's familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
It's strange how something I didn't like now I do like, because it's the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, as opposed to us driving up and down the east coast of Florida yesterday, which was great. We had an awesome day with Eddie Pinero, and guys, that was, again, I had a bunch of people send me messages when I said this on my story, but thoughts do become things. Like 4 months ago, this was just a thought that we were going to meet him in person.
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful for him too, for having us come down, for inviting us into his condo, for taking us out for some bomb-ass tacos, even though I couldn't eat them because I was dying. But the reason that we're doing an episode on gratitude is because the more that we do, the more that we realize that, like, we have so much to be grateful for.
Oh, yeah.
We might not have everything we want right now,
Yeah.
but we kind of have everything we need,
Yeah, definitely.
and everybody knows we always talk about Matt, my roommate, my best friend, the third member of the dream team.
Oh, yeah.
He's been practicing, so he knows that I do my gratitude practices before bed.
Yeah.
He does them when he wakes up. He says what he's grateful for that he has, what he's grateful for that he wants to have, but he says like he has them. And he said that things have changed dramatically for him.
It's crazy because when you're focused on what you don't have, you're always going to be coming from a place of lack. When you focus on what you do have, you're going to be coming from a place of power, from a place of happiness, from a place of, like, anyone who's miserable, you know how hard it is just to get through the day, never mind doing all this crazy stuff. So if you're out there chasing dreams, like, there's two ways to go about life. You can focus on what you don't have all the time and constantly feel like shit and always be trying to strive for more from a place of, like, basically I'm not enough, or I don't have enough, or I never will have enough. Or you can come from a place of, I'm grateful for all of these things in my life. These things are all wonderful. And I'm grateful in advance for all these other wonderful things coming my way that I'm working towards. It's like, which one do you want to be? And it's totally your choice. I would just recommend, like what Kevin just said, like Matt and Kevin have an actual gratitude ritual. I do as well, and I've probably said this before, but because this is a gratitude episode, I want to say it again. I have a reminder, the chain that I wear with the North Star on it, it's my gratitude chain. Anytime I touch it or adjust it, I always stop whatever I'm doing and think of 3 things I'm most grateful for. Usually it's my health, my mom, my sister, my dream team, like things like that. It can be anything. It can be the sunset. Like, we saw an unbelievable sunset yesterday on the way home, and we were trying to take a picture of it. Didn't do it any justice, so sorry. You guys will not be able to see it. But I think having a practice of gratitude, also another thing, journaling before bed and just asking yourself, what am I most grateful for today, is another huge one.
Yeah, and traveling really brings perspective, because you're just... nobody knows you down here. And not like anybody knows us necessarily where we're from.
Yeah.
More people do, but it's like, it's just a weird thing when you hop on a plane and you end up somewhere else in the same day with new people that you haven't seen. Like, perspective for me was walking into Eddie's condo. This beautiful building. We take the elevator up a bunch of floors, and it's
like gated community. There's valet parking.
Yeah,
He's
valet
like, yeah, man,
parking.
just tell him you're here to see Eddie. Valet.
yeah,
It's
and it
like,
was
all right.
it was next level. And he's just super humble. He's just a super humble dude.
I know.
Super humble dude. He's very successful, but he's just super humble. So I think that we always say that the episode with Isabella Picard, and then the episode with Bella and Eric LeGrand,
Yes.
that's something that we fall back on a lot, because that truly gives us perspective.
Yeah.
You're in the room with Bella, who is one of the most positive people in the
Ever.
entire world.
My goodness.
And she's been through so much stuff. And then Eric LeGrand, who literally does social media with his mouth.
yeah.
He has a pen that he puts in his mouth that he uses on his phone. Like,
Yep.
we don't have any excuses not to podcast right now. We don't
Nope.
have any excuses not to be able to do the things we want.
Yeah.
And that's because, number one, I'm grateful for the fact that we had the chance to meet those amazing people. We have the chance to continuously connect with those amazing people. We have the chance to have those people on our team. But that also gives us perspective of, what are you complaining about? Like,
Yeah.
what are you really complaining about? These people, they had their lives changed completely, flipped upside down, and they're still getting after it, if not more than they were before.
They're changing lives. They're impacting the world. Isabella said this on the podcast that we did with Eric. She said, for me, a great morning is waking up having no seizures.
Yeah.
And it's like when you wake up, I'm telling you, like everybody out there, and this is a struggle for everybody, but don't let the law of familiarity screw you out of perspective and gratitude. Because I said this in the airport, when we were walking through the airport, I said, Kevin, like, I look around, man, like we are so wealthy. And I don't mean wealthy financially, I mean wealthy in health. Because I look around and there's so many people that are struggling even just to walk. Like there's so many obesity, there's so much suffering and pain. People have joint pain and diabetes and obesity and all this stuff. And Kevin and I are like these athletes that are just walking through the airport completely capable. And all I could think was like, we are so fucking fortunate to be able to, I always say this, if you don't feel well, you're not going to do well. Life is already hard by default, never mind if you don't feel well. So you have Eric who's doing social media with his mouth. You have Isabella who's changing lives when she waking up in the morning without a seizure is a great day. Like we have no excuse. We talked about Helen Keller yesterday. Talk about perspective.
Yeah.
No eyesight, blind and deaf. And she changed the world with her books and her work. And it's like, You have two roads. You can either wake up and focus on what you don't have and be miserable about it, or you can focus on what you do have. And here's one more thing I wanted to say too. Like when times are the toughest, that's when it's the hardest to be grateful, but it's when it's the most important to be grateful. Because when you're in that dark hole of emotion and you can find something to be grateful for anyway, it's almost like when it's hardest to be grateful, that's when it's going to impact you positively the most, and that's also when it's going to impact others the most. Because like we're saying right now, I mean, you and I couldn't possibly fathom what it's like to be paralyzed.
Absolutely not. No,
And
absolutely not.
We couldn't. I mean, we can imagine what that might be like, but to actually go through that and then to see that they're both positive, they're both still chasing dreams, that they're both getting after it, and that they're happy and they're dancing and they're laughing, and it's just like Bella's happier than most people who have fully functioning
Right.
bodies.
Every time I see her story, she's doing something and like smiling and laughing and playing with Benny or whatever she's doing. She's always doing something that lights her up, that she enjoys, and she's so positive. And Eric's like, how motivational of a person is he?
Right.
That's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The dude doesn't stop.
He doesn't
stop.
man. Saw him in a picture with Drake the other day.
Yeah, man.
And like he's just chasing dreams,
He's
man.
a-
He's
yeah,
changing
dude.
lives. He's
And
awesome.
Yeah, he's changing the world.
Yep.
So speaking of gratitude, we wanted to share our gratefulness for a couple of fans that reached out, a couple of listeners that have literally changed their lives.
Yeah.
So shout out to Adolphi. I know you messaged us, or you messaged me yesterday because you don't like Alan, which is totally understandable. But I just want to read what she wrote really quickly.
Which is totally understandable.
Right. In my story, I said that thoughts become things. I was talking about how now we're in Florida. At one point, meeting Eddie Pinero was just a thought.
It's a dream.
It was just an intention.
Yep.
So she said that quote that you just said, thoughts become things, as well as you become what you focus on, have defined me for the past few months after I started listening to your podcast. And now that you guys are in Florida, I take the moment to tell you that I've been dreaming for the past 5 years about living in Florida for many reasons. The point is that it always seemed to be something impossible for me to do and a pretty far goal to achieve until I changed my mindset. I can't believe I just got a plane ticket and I'm moving in November. It's the craziest thing. And I just felt like expressing gratitude because a huge part of me changing my mindset and being capable of doing what makes me happy started when I found your podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. Please do. A bunch of emojis. Lives are changing. So after we got that, again, we're driving up the east coast of Florida. And Alan said, yo, let's just send her a video. Let's just send her a video. And this is something that we're setting the intention to do because I can't even express how much we appreciate you guys.
That's unbelievable.
So we shot her a video saying how proud we were of her and how amazing it is that she's changing her life. Like, whether it's us or another podcast, I want you to listen to this one, and I want to be the reason, you do.
Yeah.
I want to be the person who helps. Alan wants to be the person who helps. But I'm just proud of anybody who's making the change.
Yeah.
And then if you multiply that by the fact that you're saying we're the ones who help you change, it blows my socks off. So, again, we sent her a video filled with gratitude, filled with love, filled with proudness. And she said, oh my God, thank you guys. This made my night. This was an awesome and humble thing of you to do, and I'm recording it. The fact that she said it was a humble thing really struck me because I told Alan this before bed last night. I always want to do this.
Yeah.
I always want to take the time out to thank people for thanking us, because without you guys, quite literally, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
So I am unbelievably grateful. It just brings so much perspective that somebody heard what we're saying, the struggles that we're going through, the fear chasing that we're doing, and they said, oh, wow, they can do that. I can too. So
Yeah.
shout out to you, Adelphi. I'm super proud of you. And I hope when November rolls around and wherever you are is cold, you get down to Florida and you love it.
I do too. That's unbelievable. Like, that's why we do this. That's
Absolutely.
literally why we do this. It motivates me so much because we talked about this last night. I think Kevin turned to me. I don't know what we were watching, The Punisher or something, just
movie.
chilling. Yeah. And you're like, we were talking about doing this episode and that success story and how amazing it is. It's like, that's actual change. That's
Yeah.
like this. Oh my goodness. And you said, I think us being us and like doing all of this challenging stuff, regardless of how hard it is, I think it enables other people to have the courage to do the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I'm so glad we're able to lead by example, and growing pains are real. The struggle is fucking real. Anyone who says it's not is either a Buddhist monk in a cave or full of shit. So, but it's going to be worth it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be worth it.
Absolutely.
So I have another success story that I want to read. Actually, two of them briefly. How are we doing on time?
We got 1 minute.
We have 1 minute. Perfect. Okay, so shout out to Tiffany. You're awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out and showing us this. Anyone out there, if you're changing your lives, making positive change, you reaching out to us is going to help us keep going, which is going to help other people keep going. You're on the Hyperconscious Nation. You're on the team. Let's get after it. So this was an email that she got sent. Hey, Tiffany, I feel you had an amazing interview, and I loved that we were able to connect like we did. I am so excited to tell you that this email is to invite you to the next round for project completion. This is something that she applied to. So out of 1,000, this is Tiffany now. So out of 1,000 people, I was in the top 25 that got chosen for an interview. And out of those, I am now in the top 7. I just have to prove to myself now with my marketing skills, and then I get a chance to interview with the CEO, who's a huge hero of mine. That's so awesome. This is so crazy, and I would have never even had the guts to apply for this before. If I get this, it's one massive step to living the life of freedom that I want. And then we hammered her a video too, actually, which she liked on the DMs.
Video love.
Video love. And she said, thank you guys. I got the flu right now too, which I think this was back when
I was dying of that.
when Kevin was struggling, speaking of gratitude.
Yep.
But dreams won't chase themselves. Love it. Just listen to your latest Scratching the Surface episode on your determining your why, and holy shit, I'm motivated. And I said yes with a bunch of exclamation points. This motivated the hell out of Kevin and I today too. It's success stories like this that's a massive part of our why. And I'm sorry to hear about the flu, though. So many people are getting that right now. Get well soon. So thank you, Tiffany. You are amazing. I hope that you get that job, but even if you don't, who you had to become in order to apply is next level.
Yes.
I have one more that I
hammer.
want to share super fast. This is a shout out to Gina. So Gina, you've been sharing so many awesome episodes, and you've been just saying all this. You're just spitting fire. I love it on your story. Let me find what you said yesterday because this is powerful. Okay. Today I had some kind of thought, and I don't know, but I'm like very focused on finding my own place here. I still live at my parents'. And some people tell me to rent, some people tell me to buy, but then I thought, why in the world am I not moving to another country in 2 years? Honestly, so scary. LOL, but you guys give me balls, man. These podcasts. The 5 people that I spend the most time with, I love them dearly, but sometimes I wonder to myself if that's a reflection of who I want to be. Some of you said, not sure if it was you or Kevin, probably
Kevin.
probably Alan. No. But one said something about how your inner world has changed, but your outer world hasn't yet. That's exactly how I feel. So if you're out there right now and you're feeling like you're making these changes internally, becoming more hyperconscious, like learning, growing, changing, but your circumstances haven't fully changed yet, remember that changes in your, speaking of, this is what Eddie's channel is all about. It's called Your World Within. This is a good wrap up. You gotta make changes to your consciousness before you're going to take new actions and actually change your circumstances. Kevin and I have kind of been saying this thing. Hard work always pays off eventually. But the key word is eventually. I had an intention, everyone out there. I had an intention to meet Eddie Pinero 2 years ago. Okay, Danielle Murr, who we had on episode 24, I had an intention a year prior to that to meet Danielle. We literally DM'd, and we talked about getting coffee and meeting and all this stuff, both with Eddie and with Danielle. Out of nowhere, Eddie booked it to Florida. I was like, yo, bro, you moved to Florida. Like, congratulations, but I thought we were getting coffee. But now, 2 years later, this thought has become a thing. I think a lot of us get caught up in the short term, and this goes to perspective. Two things, and then I'll let everybody go, because we
have a plane to catch.
Plane to catch, yes. And I think we're almost over 20 minutes.
We are.
Two things. The first thing
Always.
is hard work will always pay off, so you don't have to worry about that shit anymore. Just remember the word eventually. Because I could have said, you know what, Eddie moved to Florida. No, that's not going to happen. Instead, we figured out how to remote podcast. Then we set the intention on the remote podcast to eventually come down here, or when he comes back to Boston. Same with the Danielle thing. That is happening to me left and right. That's why The Compound Effect is my favorite book. Intentions that I set for all the listeners years ago are now coming true. If I had been fooled by the short term, they would never come true, because I just never gave up on them. I just refused to say, I'm done with that. I'm going to let that go. I just left it in my consciousness and let it manifest into behaviors, habits, and then eventually realities. So just remember that. Don't be fooled by the short term. Play the long-term game. Be the tortoise. Stay consistent. The second thing is airplanes. Kevin and I flew out of Boston, and I took this really nice video overlooking the ocean that was just fucking gorgeous. It was just a 9-second video out of the window, but travel's going to give you perspective because of what Kevin just said. And we talked to Eddie about this a little yesterday. People who love you right now, they love you for who you are right now. You mentioned we came here, all of a sudden you're in this new place and no one knows you. They now are going to accept and learn from and be with the new evolved version of you, whereas the people you grew up with always loved the you that you used to be. And they're afraid because on some subconscious level, all of us are afraid to lose love from those that we love. And if they grow and change and we don't, we're afraid to lose them. And therefore, the people that love you most, unfortunately, are going to inevitably be the ones that may or may not hold you back the most, because they care, not because they don't. And this is something that I've really tried to focus on lately. Remember, when you're in that plane overlooking the ocean, overlooking Boston, flying out of Boston, no one down there is thinking about you. They're not. They have their own lives. They have their own problems. You have to know how important you are to this world and how important you are to the people in your world. But you also have to realize that there is no excuse not to fear judgment. There's no excuse to be afraid of what people are going to think. And this is the last thing I'll end with. I said this to Kevin recently, and this is something like an epiphany moment that I've had. I'm not going to lie to you. Every one of you out there right now, every one of you, your loved ones do talk behind your back. 100%. They do. But they might be saying awesome things too. They are saying awesome things, actually. Yes, you're going to get criticism. Yes, Aristotle, if you want to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. People are going to talk about you and what you're doing, but that's because you're doing something remarkable, and trust me, a lot of them are saying awesome shit.
My goodness, Alan just went off. So we have a plane to catch. Well, we have 2 planes to catch. But before we go, we always say thoughts become things. So just be careful of what you're thinking about. That's it. Like, I truly believe your strongest thoughts become your actual reality. So what you focus on, if you focus on the negative parts, you're going to get more of that, and you're going to feel more negative. Be grateful. Give yourself perspective. Tell somebody you're grateful for them today. Tell somebody how they changed your life. Tell somebody that you love them. And once you start practicing gratitude, just watch how things change.
Yeah, it becomes a habit.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We are 7 minutes over because we always are over because, we like to talk.
Because we're grateful for you, and we just scratched the surface.
Ooh, bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life, because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends, because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.